That's a good word. Oh, yeah. Well, otherwise, I could give it to Terry. You can have, give it to Celestine. Celestine can give it to, put it in the mayor's office.
Oh, Captain. That didn't look good. It is. All right, welcome. I want to call to order the meeting of the Common Council for Tuesday, May 2nd. If you could all please press your I and confirm buttons. Anita, I don't see that on the screen. Is it on your PC?
It's on mine.
No,
yes.
it's not.
There we go.
Yeah, I think so.
Guy, want to hit your button, please? John's on vacation.
He's out?
On vacation.
Okay. Alderman Nicholson, if you could please press your I and confirm. All right?
11 present, Your Honor, and Alderman Vanderleest has asked to be excused.
Right. Okay. Obviously, we have a quorum, and we'll continue. If you'd all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we come before you today with grateful hearts for the blessings you bestowed upon this nation and our city. This Thursday, our nation celebrates the National Day of Prayer. We're grateful and we thank you for the freedom that we're enjoying today to publicly gather and pray. As leaders of the Green Bay community, let us be an example to people who use their gifts as we work together to build a community of opportunity and faith. As many of our students prepare for the final weeks of school, we ask that you watch over them through this stressful time, knowing that finals are merely one of life's many challenges and that the summer and employment opportunities await them. Continue to bless our community with leadership and with kindness, and as always, we ask you to bless our military, especially those serving on the USS Green Bay. We ask this in your name. Amen. All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the April 18th meeting. We have a motion by Alderman Nicholson and second by Alderman Scannell. Any discussion here? All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it, and the minutes have been approved. Now we're on to approval of the agenda. There's a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell and a second by Alderman Mark Stoyer. The agenda that we're talking about approving is the one that's on your desk. It's the amended agenda of the Common Council. Any changes you want to make here? All right, seeing no lights, then all in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it, and the agenda that's on your desk, the amended agenda for Tuesday, May 2nd, has been approved.
We're on to report by the mayor.
Just two things I want to remind you of, and I think I'll be seeing many of you. This Thursday, as I mentioned, is the National Day of Prayer, and that's so well attended by public safety and by so much of the community. That's at 7 a.m. And then, of course, there's a women's lunch at 11:30, and those are both at KI, both this Thursday. And then just a shout out for the students. May 5th is Wear Yellow Day. We've got a great student movement here in Green Bay that focuses on this sting cancer, started by Preble. I think every school participates now. So on Friday, May 5th, if you could wear yellow in honor of cancer awareness, support the students in this community, it'd be greatly appreciated. That concludes my report.
On to any further announcements?
Alderman Chris Weary?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This Saturday, the 6th, the Colburn Neighborhood Association will be having a Brat Barn fundraiser festival on the west side, so hope to see everybody there. Thanks.
Thank you.
Saturday.
May 6th. All right, seeing no other lights, we can continue.
Public hearing for miscellaneous ordinance number 117, an ordinance adopting an amendment to the Smart Growth 2022 Comprehensive Plan of the City of Green Bay to revise the future land use of the from commercial to low-density residential pertaining to property generally located along the west side of the 2600 block of Nicolay Drive.
So is anyone here tonight who'd like to speak to that specific item? This is ordinance 117 regarding the low density. Anyone wishing to speak to that? Anyone wishing to be heard? All right, we'll let the record show no one came forward.
Under suspension of the rules, miscellaneous ordinance 117, which is item number 24, may be adopted with a roll call vote.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderman Dave Nenning to suspend the rules for that purpose. All in favor of suspension, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, the rules are suspended. Motion to adopt by Alderman Randy Scannell, seconded by Alderman Dave Nenning. If you just please use the board, this is item 24, ordinance 117. If we get Alderman Weary and Alderman Scannell. All right, and that passes by a vote of 11 to 0, so
We're on to referral and of petitions and communications. On page 1 of your packet are petitions communications received by the clerk's office by noon on Thursday. We will now accept any late communications.
start with Alderman Mark Stoyer.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Hang on, Mark. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, this is to inspection and/or police. Clarification of rules, regulations, and ordinances concerning yard sales or rummage sales, along with a user-friendly interface on the city website describing said concerns.
All right, thank you. Alderman Joe Moore.
Thanks, Your Honor. I've got two. First is for parks to begin a cost study and potential engineering of expanding on or building a new park shelter at Farland Park. Second item is for the RDA to begin neighborhood outreach to develop a neighborhood association west of Elizabeth, north of University Avenue, south of Eastman.
All right, thank you. Alderman Weary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just have a couple. The first is Protection and Welfare and Law Department to reword the appropriate ordinance to allow council action on items during their first and second readings. The second is for the Improvement and Services Committee. The Ashland Overpass was built in 1955 and no longer has an active railroad underneath it. Future plans for the railroad yard need to be addressed, and the overpass is an integral part of this planning. Request the State Department of Transportation complete an in-depth review of the Ashland Overpass to determine life expectancy and weigh removal versus resurfacing, reconditioning, or reconstruction. Parks Committee, contact the Canadian National Railway regarding the availability of the abandoned rail line and rail yard that runs from Mason to Broadway. Historic Preservation Commission requests that city staff and the developer provide an update and address any concerns regarding the renovation and preservation of the Hotel Northland. And Protection and Welfare Committee and the Green Bay Housing Authority review with possible action the issue of bed bugs at Mason Manor. What steps are being taken to address this ongoing issue? Thanks.
All right, thank you. Alderman Zima.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm requesting that the city review the city procedures regarding the private removal of trees in the city right-of-way, and also to review the removal of trees at 340 North Broadway.
Thank you. Anita, do you have any late communications?
I have one late communication to Protection and Welfare. It's an appeal by Jose and Liliana Gomez objecting to the decision that their dog was declared dangerous.
All right, thank you. I'll now entertain a motion to refer all petitions and communication by Alderman Randy Scannell, seconded by Alderman Bill Galvin, to refer all petitions and communications. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it. Those petitions and communications have been referred to the proper authority. Could I ask Alderman Zimmerman just to clear your lights? Right, and I feel bad. I forgot to. Everybody knows Anita. Chris Teskey. She's still with us. She's missed the last two meetings. One for what different reason. Tonight she's just ill, and wish her the best. But Anita, thanks for stepping up again. All right, go ahead.
We're now on to reports for council action. Report of the Park Committee.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderman Dave Nenny, to approve the report of the Park Committee. That was for the meeting held on Wednesday, April 26th. Are there any items in this report you wish to handle separately? Seeing no lights, all in favor of that report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it, and that report has been approved.
Report of the Plan Commission.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderman Chris Weary, to approve the report of the Green Bay Plan Commission. That was for the meeting held on Monday, April 24th. Are there any items in this report you wish to handle separately? Hearing none, all in favor of that report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it. That report's been approved.
Report of the Public Arts Commission.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderman Bill Galvin, to approve the report of the Green Bay Public Arts Commission. That was for their meeting held on Wednesday, April 26th. Are there any items in this report you wish to handle separately? Hearing none, all in favor of that report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it, and that report's been approved.
Report of the Redevelopment Authority.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderperson Barb Dorf, to approve the report of the Green Bay Redevelopment Authority for the meeting held on Tuesday, April 25th. Any discussion here? Seeing no lights, all in favor of that report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. Ayes have it. That item's been approved.
Report of the Advisory Committee.
All right. There's a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderman Chris Weary, to approve the report of the Advisory Committee that was for the meeting held on Wednesday, April 19th. Any items under this report you wish to handle separately? Number one. Okay, hearing none others, all in favor of the remainder of that report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it. Item 2 has been approved. And what are your wishes regarding item 1? There's a motion to approve by Alderman Zema and seconded by Alderman Moore. Alderman Scannell.
Thank you, Your Honor. This failed as a 2-2 vote, and I think it's worth bringing up for the whole council to take a look at. I brought this forward because I believe that and there was a handout handed out, showing just what all communications have gone to the advisory committee since 2014. And at least 3/4 of those are communications that should have gone to other committees. And I believe that the advisory committee had a purpose at one time, and it still serves a purpose. It's not so much I don't think it serves a purpose, but I think it could be better served if, instead of having a committee that meets whenever it can. I mean, this last one, we had to set 3 different dates to get together before we could finally get together, and 2 alders still couldn't make it. It seems very inefficient, and that since we have the power as a council to form our committees as we wish, I think since Protection and Welfare is the only standalone committee that, at least at this time, it makes sense for me to delegate what is rightfully going to the advisory committee to that committee. It meets regularly. So anything that would come up, we wouldn't have to go through this whole rigmarole of trying to get everybody together and have things waiting. Things have been on advisory, waited in advisory for months sometimes before the committee could finally meet. And sometimes even then, some of the items were then referred to the committee it should have gone to. So I think for now, the short term, I think it would be much more efficient if we took what rightfully belongs to advisory, which are rules of procedure, construction and organization of the council members training, redistricting, those kinds of things, and delegated that to protection and welfare. Now, down the road, I think perhaps maybe we want to look at all our committees. I mean, we have two, personnel and finance. Perhaps we should just make that one committee as administrative committee and then maybe delegate these things to that, or, you know, maybe these other committees could be one committee instead of two, or that's something we could look at down the road. But for now, I think it would just be sufficient and efficient to simply delegate what rightly goes to advisory now to a standing committee that meets regularly. Some of the arguments against it were, well, we've always had this. Well, things have changed. I mean, we used to have 24 council members. We don't have 24 council members anymore. And it's made up of the chairs. Well, if you look at what's been communicated, there's really no expertise that a chair is going to bring that needs to be handled with any of these things. Any alder could deal with this. A committee could do what the committee does, the grunt work, and then bring its findings to the council, and the council does what it wants with it and votes on it. I mean, the power is with the council. So I just think it makes us much more efficient than what we've been doing, and so I'm going to make the motion that we abolish the advisory committee and delegate its, well, we'll stop there, and then if we end up doing that, I'll put in a late communication to legal to look at the ordinance about we're delegating advisories responsibilities to protection and welfare.
So you're not amending this? You're not going to put and delegates responsibilities to protection and welfare?
No,
That's-
I'll do a late communication for legal, because it's an ordinance, so we'll need to tweak the ordinance, I think, so
Well,
I'll
so-
just put in a late communication for,
So the motion on the floor is item 1, which we have a
Right.
first.
so is this, the motion is to deny, I'm making a motion that we accept the request.
Your Honor,
Okay,
why don't we just continue what we're doing? Where's Lake
hang on, let me
Communication
get,
and that's what's gonna solve it.
I'll get you in the next slide. I just want to be clear that you made a motion to approve
Yeah,
the request,
motion to
and then
approve,
you
yeah.
seconded it. Okay, so that's what's on the floor. I'm going to go to Alderman Dwayne.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I understand what Alderman Scannell was saying. For the last 8 years, you know, we've had communications go to advisory, and 85, 90% of the time, I saw fit that it fit another committee, regular committee, and so that's what I did. And only when that alder person would ask me to still send it to advisory would I try to schedule an advisory meeting. It does take time. As you know, Alderman Vanderleest was complaining quite openly about trying to get his advisory communication there, but it was trouble getting everybody together. And so I'm not against what Alderman Scannell is doing, but I think it's got to go through the proper channels. It is an ordinance, and so I don't think there's anything we can do right now except for if he's going to put a communication in later. Because he's right. I mean, the chairman of each committee is involved with an advisory, but we're all council member. Any council member, 4 or 5 council member can hear these. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak on this? Alderman Dave Nenning?
Thank you, Your Honor. This was actually a request that Alderman Wisbiski first introduced, I think, back in 2015. And at that point, it was referred, I believe, to the law department to research it, and it never came back. Historically, I can tell you that at one time when we had 24 and then 23 members of the council, the advisory committee served a real purpose. It was like an executive committee made up of the council president, vice president, all the committee chairmen, and they oversaw how business was conducted. When we reduced to 12 members, the role of it became a lot different. If you look at this list that we put on your desk, it shows that in the last 3 years, there have been at least 7 members present, 7 council members present at each meeting of the advisory committee, as many as 11. And so we're getting a majority of the council present at those meetings, and then the issues get discussed again by the full council when we have a council meeting. So I think a lot of things could work more efficiently if the council as a whole discuss those issues. Now, scheduling has been an issue, although there are 7 members on the committee. This last time we only had 5 present. And, you know, I understand people have conflicts and it's difficult to schedule the meetings. I really think that unlike what it was when we had a larger council, now it's a case where all 12 of us have a role in overseeing the major issues, and you know, I think that when you look at this list, Alderman Scannell is probably correct that at least 3/4 of them rightfully belong in the jurisdiction of other committees or boards and commissions. So I support his effort here. I think it's a structure that isn't working very effectively anymore. We also received an email from our city attorney that I'd like to reference that, and you keep in mind that currently, in our last term, we had 7 members of the council on advisory. Currently, we have 6 because Alderman Stoyer serves both as vice president and as a committee chairman. But the point was that if you have a majority of the council there, it really does constitute a meeting of the council and should be scheduled as such rather than as a committee made up of 7 council members. So I think there are valid reasons to look at this. It's not serving the same purpose that it once did, and I think that any of the issues that do come up can be handled in a different way more effectively. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the motion on the floor is to accept the request by Alderman Randy Scannell to consider with possible action abolishing or amending the advisory committee. Alderman Zima?
Thank you, Your Honor. Really, I think the size of the council doesn't really matter that much, and I don't think because majority of the aldermen show up at any committee. There's a finance committee that sometimes practically the whole council's there. We don't decide that that committee's not effective or whatever it is, or that there's something wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. They don't have to. It doesn't have to be noticed as a meeting of the council because members other than members of the committee show up. It's just not. It's not really part of the. It's not a legal objection, is it? Is there anything legally wrong with people showing up at meetings? Yes, I'd ask the attorney.
Do you want me to answer, Mayor?
No, there's not.
I can elaborate. So no, there is no issue with people actually showing up to meetings, but if we know that there's going to be a quorum, we have an obligation to notice it as a meeting of the common council.
I don't believe that's true.
It's
Because
straight from
no
the
one has to, no one knows how
Attorney
many people
General.
are gonna show up for a meeting. And, you know, our committees are made up of 4, and anytime 3 people show up to it, we're supposed to notice it as a full meeting of the council. That's absurd on its face.
Well,
I don't know where you get that from.
That came straight out of the Attorney General's recommendation. They had a lawsuit that was challenged elsewhere in the state, and they lost and ended up paying a substantial amount of money because they were in violation of the Open Meetings Act.
Well, that still doesn't, that defies logic, as far as I'm concerned. I guess I'd like to look for some other case law on that matter.
It's a brand new case. It was ruled in the last 6 months.
Well, Attorney General's opinion is nothing more than opinion.
Oh, this was the Supreme Court, it was a case law.
Yeah. Okay, I feel this should be referred. We've had an advisory committee since time in memoriam. Nothing's really changed. Things that didn't fit into other committees were always sent to that committee. And if it doesn't meet as often as it should, or if things are held up, that's a problem of your leadership. There's no reason why meetings shouldn't take place. And I know we've expanded the committee. You've expanded the committee to the point where it's, they've got a quorum of the council, just if all the committee members showed up, if it wasn't for Mr. Stoyer holding two right now. So I think this requires further discussion. A lot of the decisions are being sent to boards and commissions, and I really feel that more of these things should be going through the advisory committee of the Common Council. But maybe we should reduce the size of it from 7 to 5 or something like that, but I don't think that's gonna stop other people attending. And if really that, if what Vanessa tells us is true, then we better just automatically call every meeting a meeting of the council, because there's many, many, many committees that that at least 7 people of the council are in attendance. And we've been really breaking the law for a long time if that's the case. So I think it needs to be looked at more carefully, so I'd make a motion to refer it back to the advisory committee for further discussion and to entertain Mr. Scannell's communication that's forthcoming. Thank you.
Okay, so there's a motion by Alderman Zima to refer this item back. We have a second on that? Second. And second by Alderman Slotnick. Okay, so we're talking about referral right now. Alderman Tom Dwayne?
Yeah, I got a question for the attorney, Your Honor.
Yep. Go ahead.
I wanna, how many older persons does it take before we violate this new law at any given meeting? How many council?
It depends on what you are actually considering. So generally, it's a majority. So as soon as you have 7 people in the room, you have a quorum for voting purposes. However, if you have an item that requires an extraordinary vote, so 2/3 or 3/4, as soon as you have a negative quorum, meaning that you have enough people to defeat something, so either 4 or 5, you can have a violation at that point. So it's vote specific.
Yeah, I've been to plenty of planning meetings. Believe it or not, protection welfare is a hot one sometimes. Advisory, where we got 7 people there all the time. I mean, why aren't we put that as a?
We do. We actually have to advertise them as meetings of the Common Council for information and fact gathering purposes. We put it on all of them. In addition, I emailed you all a few months ago, basically saying that if you knew you were going to be attending a meeting, we needed to have your confirmation ahead of time. This way we could make sure that that information was out there.
So you
We
put
can't
it-
do it. We can't do it as a blanket statement anymore, that it may be a quorum of the, a quorum may be a meeting. We have to actually, if we know that there's gonna be a quorum, we have to advertise it. And if we suspect that there's gonna be a quorum, we have to advertise it. And if we don't think there's gonna be a quorum, we shouldn't be advertising it. Doesn't mean you can't show up, just means that we have to be very careful.
All right, so we don't advertise it and we get 7 people there, 8 people. Then what are you gonna do? Stop the meeting?
No, it's not illegal for you to show up to a meeting. And it's also a difference based on what your role is while you're there. If you are observing and just information gathering, it's different than if you're showing up and participating in the discussions versus if you attend a different committee or a different governing body's meetings, then those ones, obviously, you're just showing up and watching. And so the fact that you show up doesn't mean that you're automatically a quorum. It really is specific to what we are actually doing at the time.
Well, your first part doesn't make sense with this violation that this municipality met, because that's what we do here. We have 4 people on a committee and the rest are there to observe and ask questions or just listen. So why would we be violating any laws then?
I can send out the email explaining the, what the decision of the court was again. This way you guys have that fresh.
Yeah, well, you just stated that it won't be a quorum
Yep.
if you're there just as a spectator. I mean, spectators ask questions and they listen. So it really,
So if you are there, in a fact-finding capacity, for something that's gonna come before this council for action, that's more than just as a spectator.
Okay, so let's say you announce it. And how many people you need as a council, like tonight's meeting? How many before you don't have a quorum? How many people?
So quorum for conduct of business or quorum for voting?
Well, if you state it's like a council meeting,
So there are two different types of quorums. The first one is how many people do you need in the room before you can actually conduct, actually hold a meeting, call a meeting to order? And that is, I believe, 2/3. The other one is a quorum as far as voting goes, and that is, it depends on what you're doing. So if you're doing a regular vote, a quorum is 7 votes.
and if it's not, if you announce that it's a council as a whole or whatever you call it, and only the committee members meeting, I mean, nobody else, no council members show up, it's not a violation? Since we announced it as a,
What we do is if we know that these are meetings that are frequently attended, so for example, when we know that people frequently attend finance and personnel, we make sure that there's a notice of quorum on all of those that says there will be a quorum. For meetings where there are less frequently quorums, like plan, we cannot advertise that anymore because then it's not really giving people an accurate understanding of when the quorum's actually gonna be present. When we know that there's a hot button topic or something that people are interested in, then we do have to put it on, which is what we've been doing. We have changed our practice.
okay.
Right.
But there's a lot of high items where some people just can't make, we won't have enough. But anyway, this goes to, I mean, we're not gonna get nothing done with Alderman Scannell's motion tonight anyway, so I'm gonna, because of our dialogue just now, I'm in favor of the motion of sending this back to get more details and get that information from you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderman Tom Slotnick, on referral.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to support referral. As I listened tonight, there's a lot of questions that are not answered on this, and I think those can be hashed out at another meeting. I would ask, however, that if Alderman Scannell would come to, if the referral passes and it goes back to advisory, please come to advisory with the whole proposal. How the ordinance would be changed, how you'd want to see that change take place, where these items would go to, so we can deal with the entirety of it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderman Scannell, you're next. Is there anything else on referral?
Well, with all that just happened, I'm not sure what I wanted to say. I guess I could support referral back and really get all the ducks lined up and then go forward. I hope we can meet soon. I'd like to,
Start right now.
yeah. Yeah, so I guess I'll support referral and I'll take Alder Sladek's advice and really get it all ironed out, all the dots crossed and T's dotted and.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alderman Stoyer, hang on.
Thank you, Your Honor. I support referral as well. I was under the assumption that if we were at a committee meeting, that if there were 3 or 4 other alders in the audience, that, you know, a lot of times we'll just say Alder Scannell, Alderman Zima, Alderman Nicholson are in the audience. We would just call that out, and I thought that would be enough. After this discussion, it doesn't seem like that is quite the case. So I support referral as well, just so we answer those and other questions.
All right, thank you. And Alderman Zima?
Thank you, Your Honor. You know, there's a major problem here with the interpretation that the city attorney's offered us. As Mr. Stoyer said, first of all, the members of the committee are the only ones that have a right to vote at that committee, no one else. So, I mean, because others aren't in attendance, doesn't mean that they're voting members. And so I don't believe attendance by other members creates an open meeting law violation. It's almost absurd on its face. It means that about half of our meetings then are outside the open meeting law. Because we have 12 members here and very often, and we have might have 7 members at a meeting. And of course, if 4 people are there, creates a negative quorum, well, then every meeting on its face would be illegal outside the open meeting law, because 4 people make up a negative quorum. I don't know, this needs to be talked about. We need to see more legality about it. I can't believe in my 40 years that I'm hearing what we're talking about here tonight. Now,
Again, it's
whether we
a
have
new
an
change.
advisory committee or not is one thing. Saying that we're breaking open meeting laws when we know that some other people might attend and they're not voting members, I think is absurd. So I'm doubly in favor of the referral.
All right, and that's the motion on the floor that we'll take on a vote right now. There's a motion and a second to refer item 1 back to advisory. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nay. All right, the ayes have it, and that's been referred back. All right, Anita?
Report of the Finance Committee.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Tom Dwayne, seconded by Alderman Randy Scannell, to approve the report of the Finance Committee. That was for the meeting held on Tuesday, April 25th. Any items in this report you wish to handle separately? Hearing none, all in favor of that report, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nays. Ayes have it, that report's been approved.
Report of the Improvement and Service Committee.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderperson Barb Dorf, to, what? Okay, to approve the report of the Improvement and Service Committee. That was for the meeting held on April 26th. Are there any items under this report you wish to handle separately?
3.
Okay, hearing none others, all in favor of the remainder of that report, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it. That report has been approved with the exception of item 3. What are your wishes regarding item 3? There's a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderman Tom Slotnick. Alderman, any Nicholson?
Make a motion to refer it back, please, back to committee.
Right, so there's a motion by Alderman Nicholson, and second, is that Denny or Moore? Alderman Joe Moore to refer this item back. Discussion on that? Do you want to say anything, Alderman Nicholson? All right. Alderman Tom Dwayne?
Yeah, I just asking if Alderman Nicholson, if there's just one item you might want to send back, or if there's a reason to send them all back. You know, these claims are for,
Item 3 is to receive and place on file the draft modification.
Oh, I got you. Thank you. I apologize. Go ahead.
All right, Alderman Chris Weary?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was wondering if Alderman Nicholson could expound on why we would send it back. We spent a lot of time on this over this past year, and I can't see us accomplishing anything by sending it back. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Alderman Nicholson, elaborate on the reason for referral.
Well, I wanted to hold it, but an alderman gave me advice to refer it back. I mean, we're not gonna discuss it, we're just gonna send it right back to city council. That's what the plan is, so the people can be here.
Well, if you want, I can hold this for 2 weeks. You want to hold
That's
it?
fine.
So I understand Alderman Weary saying he doesn't want
I
to rehash
understand.
this whole thing. So if you want to hold it for 2 weeks because some interested
Okay.
parties can't be here, why don't you amend that and
Okay.
somebody will probably second it.
I'll amend that to just hold for 2 weeks
Right.
to our meeting.
So there's
Thank
a
you.
motion by Alderman Nicholson, seconded by Alderman Tom Slotnick to hold this item for 2 weeks so interested parties can attend the meeting. Any other discussion on this? Seeing no other lights, all in favor, Alderman Weary? Alderman Weary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Oops, hang on, Chris. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know there are people here tonight for this item. There's probably 3 or 4 people who took time out, of their lives to come for this item. Are we holding this up for one specific person? Is that why we're holding it up 2 weeks, even though everybody else is here?
I don't know. Let me ask the Alderman. Did you want to
There's
answer
3
that?
people, holding it up for 3 people. Actually, 4.
Personally, I think between the minutes and what we've seen at committee, I have enough information to vote on it. I don't need the same people to show up again. I'm going to vote against it and hopefully vote it down later. Thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, so with that, there's a motion and a second to hold item 3 for 2 weeks. Alderman Randy Scannell. Go ahead.
I've been getting quite a few emails and conversations from my constituents who are really, they don't support this at all, and I don't support it, so I'm not sure that, holding it makes much difference. I don't know what difference that would make on my vote. I kind of want to respect the alder and his, I'm sure his constituents would like to speak on this, but I really don't see how it's going to make a difference. And since we do have people here who came to speak, I wonder if we should open the floor.
We're gonna hold it for 2 weeks.
Well, are we?
I don't know.
Well, why don't we wait until, I guess we can wait on that. And, if it's, after the vote for the hold, we can see, and then maybe open the floor otherwise. Okay, so that's it. Thank you.
Right, again, so there's a motion and a second on the floor to hold item 3 for 2 weeks. I'm gonna ask you to use the board on this. I know it's not gonna be a tie. A yes holds it, a no, we discuss it tonight. Okay, so that,
Yes.
all right, thank you. Those 7 to 4 votes. So that item is held for 2 weeks. Okay, clerk?
Report of the Personnel Committee.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderman Dave Nenning, to approve the report of the Personnel Committee. That was for the meeting held on Tuesday, April 25th. Are there any items in this report you wish to handle separately? Hearing none, all in favor of that report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it, and that report has been approved.
Report of the Protection and Welfare Committee granting operator licenses.
All right, we have a motion by Alderman Tom DeWine, seconded by Alderman Randy Scannell, to approve the report of Protection and Welfare granting the operating licenses. Are there any names on this report you wish to handle separately or abstain from? See no lights, all in favor of that report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it. Those licenses have been approved.
Resolutions number 11 through 21I may be adopted with one roll call vote under suspension of the rules.
All right, we have a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderperson Barb Dorf, to suspend the rules for that purpose. All in favor of suspension? That's fine. All in favor of suspension, please hang on. Let me get this on the floor, and then we can separate them. All in favor of suspension, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nay. So, which items would you like to handle separately, and I can take the rest as a group?
All items of the bond.
Okay, so, that's 11 through 18. So the rules are suspended. We're gonna take up 19, 20, 21, yeah, 21I. I need a motion to take 19 through 21I. All right, by Alderman Chris Weary, seconded by Alderman Randy Scannell. If you use the board on this, and then 11 through 18 are the bonding resolutions. Okay, and those pass. Okay, now we're on to resolutions 11 through 18, which are the bonding resolutions. And Alderman Zima, how would you like to handle this?
Thank you, Your Honor. The thing that bothers me about the bond issue, as I see it, is no one thing in particular. It's the fact that we're not provided with any detail of specifically what it's for. Now, I mean, I guess for street improvements, that one's obvious enough. It's for street improvements. But as you go through in the sewage improvements, but for instance, for parking lots and other parking facilities, which parking lots and which parking facilities are we talking about? I remember resolutions in the past, and maybe it's more distant past than I think, but always, the resolution always included specifically what things were for. And For instance, the parks also doesn't say what it's for, just says park improvements.
Alderman Zima, this is pretty detailed. I mean, this goes into the sedan, it goes into the 72-inch zero-turn rear discharge mower. This is pretty detailed, and this is the same list that went through each committee and then adopted by the Finance Committee on April 18th, and then the City Council, on April 11th, and then the City Council last week. I think this is a little bit more detailed than we're used to having.
Well, they're not part of the resolution here.
Well,
How come they're not attached to the resolution?
because you've received them before, through committees.
Well,
I'm happy to give this
the
to you,
the
but
initial resolution is the most important resolution,
it's tonight.
and it takes a two-thirds majority to pass that. And that's why they're most important to be attached. And then not everybody's on that committee. But anyway, that's really my main objection. I don't know what I'm voting on some of these, and I haven't had a chance to review these. They weren't in the packet.
I have done it this way for 14 years. We had the initial resolution. John Meehan comes next week to give us his opinion. These department heads have worked with the committees and need this, and equipment and money, and we've got to get, there's a lot of work to do, and this is the timing that I've always brought this forward. And I'm sorry that you didn't get, well, you did get the details. I'm sorry you wanted them tonight.
Where are they on here even? I didn't see them.
Not the same.
Yeah. I mean, you guys got all this. You give them this.
Everybody want to take a test on this?
Well, I think the committee chairs would take a test on this. And those reports that they received were forwarded.
Well, I guess I'd like some review of a couple of them. All
right.
We'll take them one at a time here, and I don't have a problem with the first one.
Okay.
I guess I do have a question on the first one. The $4,545,000 in general obligation bonds for street improvements, how many streets does this take care of? This is the city portion, I understand. This is the city, or is this the city and the assessed portion, and we receive money back from some of it?
Director Grenier?
This is the full list of streets that were identified in the 2017 capital improvement program.
Could you just tell me about how many that was?
Well, we're looking at subdivisions. There's 6 subdivisions, a combination, 7 subdivisions, a combination of city-built and developer-built. We've got 2 streets, other streets west side. We've got 4 streets, looks like, in the other category on the east side. We've got 1 NHS route for design services, 2 STP route streets on the east side, 2 STP route streets on the west side, our traffic signal repair contract, rail crossing repairs, bridge repairs, annual street resurfacing, annual pavement repair contract, annual concrete pavement repairs, mud jacking, sidewalks.
This covers about what % of our city streets?
If history holds true, about 1.5%.
I guess that's what I want to come to, Your Honor. I think the biggest complaint and the biggest thing that was brought forward to me during our campaigns, is there a problem?
It was me, sorry. I apologize.
Was it people felt more of the money should be put to streets. They all complained about the condition of the streets. And I think we all can think of washboards in our district. And are we going to have a plan to catch up on this? You know, if you just using easy numbers, What is the average street last in Green Bay, the bituminous pavement?
There
Are
is
they
no
about
average.
20 to 30 years? Is that the,
I have asphalt streets out there that are in the 40 to 50-year range. I have streets out there that have failed in less than 20, depending on what they've got for base underneath them.
but the ones that are, there's some out there that are 40 years old and are still drivable? They're not washboards?
Absolutely.
Well, you know, I've always been told it's been in the neighborhood of between 20 and 30 years. And it seems to me that if we're going to keep our city up, we've got to be doing 2 or 3% of them every year to keep them in good shape. I mean, I drive every day down Roosevelt Street, it's a washboard. It's been that way for a long time. 13th Street, 14th Street, my own district. On it goes. I just feel like, and I have to apologize, not coming Improvement Service Committee to talk about it. But when I saw this here, and I saw it wasn't really a list of, I didn't see a list of what streets were involved, and I didn't know how many, but 1%, I don't think we catch up. Even if streets last 40 years, and we know that the average one doesn't last 40 years, probably somewhere closer to 25 years. You'd have to be replacing, 3 to 4% of your streets every year if you really wanted to keep up your road structure. But of course, if we don't keep up with our road structure, of course, it leaves money available to do a lot of other things. And I heard a cry from the public that said they'd like to have us get back to basics. I think Mr. Duane used that a theme of his campaign. And he accumulated a lot of votes. And I don't think this cuts it myself. If we wanted to try to do more streets, how much more would we have to put in, Mr. Grenier?
I would estimate to get to the level that you're looking for, on an annual basis, we're gonna have to bond 4 times as much. And at budget time, I will be coming to you with a request for about, probably at least another standing $1 million in staff time, because I'm gonna have to triple my engineering staff.
Yeah, well, that sounds like a little bit of an exaggeration, but what can we do to step it up to at least 2%?
If you want me to double my program, double your bonding request, and hire 3 additional staff
Well,
engineers.
there were a lot of things in this bond issue that were not streets, per se. I'm talking about resurfacing within the neighborhoods.
If you're talking
What
strictly about
what percent of this?
if you ask me a question, please allow me to answer.
Well, I haven't quite completed the question. If you want to bully me about my question, then I'll shut up. But I really want to know what percent of this 4.5 million roughly is dedicated to bituminous streets.
Are you asking bituminous streets, or are you asking bituminous streets in the resurfacing program?
Resurfacing, not new construction. I'm talking about maintaining our older stuff. How much of it is
About $1.7 million.
is in reconstruction of,
No, about
Existing
1.7
streets.
million is in the resurfacing.
okay, resurfacing program. So, if we wanted to double that, it would only be another 1.7 million, not 4 times this bond issue, not 18 million. It would be another 1.7 million, correct?
If you want to double it, originally you said that you wanted to get up to 4 to 5%.
Well, I also said if we wanted to bring it at least up to 2%, that was my last question, how much would it need to be done? But I'm strictly talking about resurfacing program, which is where I get the most complaints, although there are some major streets that got problems too.
I gave you the answer, $1.7 million, and I'm probably going to need another engineer.
Well, somewhere along the line, we got to keep up with the problems of the city of Green Bay. Did we, of the excess stadium tax was have you added anything to the program with that money that we set aside for improvements there?
That's not what the money was dedicated for.
So nothing was dedicated for infrastructure?
Nothing was dedicated to resurfacing of streets. Some of the money went towards railroad repairs and the rest of it went to a lift station.
Okay. Well, really, no roads addressed beyond what we've been routinely doing, which is about 1%. I don't think it's good enough. I want to make a motion to at least start an attempt to improve this, and I would ask that we add 1 million to this bond issue here to add to the resurfacing program and show the public that we're making an attempt to catch up on what's long overdue problems. That would be my motion.
So we have that motion by Alderman Zima to add $1 million to our bonding. Two things, I'm, let me say, hang on a second. I'm advised by our council that the proper motion would be to reconsider the bonding issue we approved 2 weeks ago.
Isn't this the initial resolution? We've always amended things in the past.
Hang on.
I tell Your Honor, that the silence is kind of deafening in this room, because I'm sure I am not the only person that had this rattled through my ears all the while I was campaigning. And I got a hard time getting a second, and that was for discussion. It's actually kind of disgusting. And if you guys don't want to do anything more, don't do anything. I'm bringing it up here tonight because this is the time we have to do it. This is the initial resolution.
Two issues. Can I have her address the reconsideration issue first, and I just want to make one comment?
You're running the show.
I am. Go ahead.
So it either needs to be a reconsideration or amendment of prior action taken. The reason being is we have, these initial resolutions are based off of action that was taken at the last meetings directing staff to move forward with the bonding request. So if we're going to change that, we really need to change the action that actually directed these to be created. This way, everything is clean.
Well,
I just, if I could just, please.
we've added and subtracted money from bond issues in the past. And I never heard that particular rendition of what we have to do that. But, you know, I'm just a guy that's been around for 40 years.
Okay, if I could just say there's a couple things at play. One is I agree with you, but I think that was done 2 weeks ago when the bonding came before the council, but I don't want to argue with you. Alderman Zima, there's
no rush for the bond issue then?
Yeah, there is.
Oh, yeah, there's always a reason here.
I tell you, the department heads, and we talked about this today. I just want to make a couple of things. We're going to be going out for bonding again this year. All right? And I want you to know that, and I will entertain that this year. Secondly, there's two other things I just want to mention, and that one is, you know, that our new president is working on an infrastructure plan, and I tell you, that is directed toward cities over 100 years old that need infrastructure, and they've got to make a decision on that soon, 60, 90 days. It's just, they have to, and we're getting emails, we're getting notes on that the president is working on an infrastructure bill that is like community development block grant that comes directly to communities. It may be a matching grant where we put up $5 million, this federal puts up $5 million, and I'm in support of that. Matter of fact, it was my resolution. So I'm not asking you to put this off for years. I'm saying that August, September, maybe October. The other thing I think the council is entertaining, and this is something that I know hasn't been received real well here in the city, but this wheel tax is a way to generate some revenue that has worked very successfully in Appleton, and I want to say that's something that I think is working its way through finance, right? I think it's working its way, INS. And if we could just hold off on those, and with my commitment that we could do something this fall.
Well, you don't pave streets in the fall. in the
I
winter.
think he's, I don't even think if we borrowed the money tonight, it could be used this year. I do think he's, I mean, shaking his head, he can't do this. I mean, he does have to get staff. We have to identify the streets. We'd bring out the 19 plan and roll it up. But I think this is gonna take some work.
Well, you gotta get started sometime, and I don't know, our meetings go on and some things just pass on a routine basis because we're not focused on it. It's not what people are talking about, and then when you think about it, well, then it's too late and all this sort of thing. So on it goes, but I feel we should be making some effort to improve this somewhat. How much could you handle extra, Mr. Grenier, if we lowered it from $1 million to something less than that
This year,
this year?
0. My staff is booked up through the end of the year already.
So grinding the street and resurfacing it and fixing the curb and gutter, that takes a lot of work?
Yes, it does.
Well, I'll just let my motion stand.
All right, so we have a motion, which was seconded, which is on the floor right now, to add $1 million to this bond issue. I'm gonna go to Alderman Nenning.
Thank you, Your Honor. You know, I think that a lot of us feel that a long-range goal is to accelerate infrastructure improvements for the city. But one thing you need to realize about this is that the capital improvements plan was brought to the Park Committee and it was brought to the Improvement Services Committee, and the park portion of the bonding was the specific requests for equipment and fields and, you know, paving and so on, and shelter repairs. All the specifics were brought to our committees in late February or early March. And there's an incredible amount of detail behind that. The capital improvements program includes a list of all of the streets, both new construction and resurfacing. It has the costs broken down by the type of work that is involved with it. And maybe other council members weren't aware of all the detail as much as our committee was, but we had an incredible amount of detail on that in late February and early March. And I think the Finance Committee saw that detail as well. The one thing that somewhat bothered me about it was the equipment, because a lot of the equipment has a life expectancy of 3 to 5 years, and frankly, when we were working on the budget, there was very little equipment, if any equipment, in the 2017 budget, and frankly, if there was a commitment to shift things from that had been requested in the budget and shift them to debt, we should have been told that in detail when we were preparing the budget. But in terms of the capital improvement program, there is an awful lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. The specific streets are identified, and it's at that point that you can subtract a street or you can add a street. If you want to subtract sidewalks that are proposed for a specific street, you can subtract something there. I know Alderman Stoyer was at our committee to talk about one particular street. But to try to amend it at this point, I think it is a little bit difficult, because you can suggest streets that you want improved for next year, and the staff will make the effort and figure out what the cost is, and we'll put a more aggressive list together, and if it includes more staff that's necessary to develop it and supervise it, they'll request that. But I just to add $1 million and not know specifically what it's going to be used for, And, you know, on a lot of these streets, there are special assessments involved right now under our current ordinances. So, you know, the aldermen from whatever streets it is may need to talk with their constituents and you know, get public input. I really think that to try to just add more money back for street improvements that we don't, that our staff is telling us we can't do this year because the background work has not been done, is really not appropriate. Certainly for future years, if there are additional streets you want to request, or you want to look at the plan in total and add or subtract, it's certainly any council member's right to do that. But you know, I know at our committee, at both Improvement and Services and Park, we did get a lot of detail on this stuff back earlier this year. And you know, I'm sorry if not every council member was aware of the detail, but we did have the detail.
All right. Thank you. Alderman. All right. You okay with that?
That are below a grade 2.
Okay. So will I. Okay, thank you. So Alderman Zima withdrew that motion. Did you want to?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, then, with the proper motion now would be to adopt 11 to 18.
I was gonna vote for it.
Okay. If he withdrew his motion, then the proper motion now, because the rules are suspended, we can take up 11 through 18.
I like to move to take 11 to approve.
Okay, there's a motion by Alderperson Dorf and seconded by Alderman Scannell. There's no discussion, we'll use the board on this. Right, and that passes unanimously, and thank you. And I'll suspend the rules at the end of the meeting, Alderman Zima, for you. Okay,
For the first reading of the ordinances, items number 22 and 23 may be advanced to the third reading under suspension of the rules.
no, she took 11 through 18. All right, there's a motion by Alderman Joe Moore, second by Alderman Scannell, to suspend the rules for that purpose. All in favor of suspension, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nay. A motion to advance. By Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderman Tom Dwayne. We can do this on a voice vote. All in favor of advancing? Yep, go ahead, Ann.
Question for our attorney. In the first reading, why do we do this? Because I believe, I don't know, a couple months ago, you said it goes to the second or third reading automatically. So why do we have to go through this
So
procedure then?
what we are doing right now, if we don't do anything, it automatically goes to the second one. What we're doing right now is suspending the rules so you can send it
Bring
to a
the
third one.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we have the motion, second on the floor to advance to the third reading. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. Ayes have it. And those have been advanced to the third. That's good.
We are now at Committee of the Whole to review and discuss with possible action the status of pending litigation in the Oneida Seven Generations Corporation versus the City of Green Bay matter.
All right, it's appropriate that this is discussed as a body, this serious matter, and one I just want to make sure that the council is engaged every step of the way. The attorney has some things to share with you and would prefer to share those in closed session.
Correct, this needs to be discussed in closed session.
So there's a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell, seconded by Alderman Tom Slottick, to move into closed session. And if someone could just read the reason why the council may convene. Alderman Scannell, go ahead. Let me get your mic on. Go ahead.
The council may convene in closed session pursuant to section 19.85 subsection 1 subsection G, Wisconsin statutes, for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. The council may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to section 19.85 subsection 2 Wisconsin statutes to report the results of the closed session and consider the balance of the agenda.
All right, so that's, yeah. Yeah.
What about, I'm sorry if I'm blanking now, but 22 and 23 first readings?
We just advanced those, Alderman Nichols.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's what I want to make sure, because with all the discussion going on.
No, Alderman Nicholson talked about that. Okay, so this was on, moving into closed session for the update on, item 7, Jen. Yeah, use the board on this. All right, and that's 10, so I'm going to hit the pause button. We can go into my office, and Vanessa, you can take care of this.
Right?
All right, I'll entertain a motion to return to regular session. All right, there's a motion by Alderman Scannell, second by Alderman Galvin, to return to regular order. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nay. So we went into closed session to review and discuss with possible action the status pending litigation of the United 7 Gen Corp. After good discussion, I think the proper motion would be to continue the advice of legal counsel. And do we need to make a motion to do that, or is that understood?
Make a motion to proceed as directed.
All right, so, right, there's a motion by Alderman Moore, seconded by Alderman Scannell to proceed as directed regarding item 1. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nay. All right, the ayes have it, and we will proceed as directed. Okay?
We have another item for Committee of the Whole, request by Council President Duane to have an update and review of all options available to the City of Green Bay with possible action regarding the Hotel Northland LLC project.
Well, let me start. You received an email today from Kevin, or maybe yesterday, that outlines some very serious progress with this, and to the point where in the end of this week or next week, you will be receiving closing documents. As you know, we're a junior lender, and we are in this project in a position where the senior lender is now secured. WIDA is having a special meeting, it's my understanding, tomorrow, to a special board meeting. U.S. Bank is having a board meeting, and of course, we as a council need to have a board meeting to approve these new closing statements. You'll be receiving those, as I said, by Friday or next week, and if need, I'll call a special council meeting. If not, we'll try and do it on the 16th. But, you know, I don't know why we wouldn't continue. I mean, I think, look, I understand how frustrated people are, how much you want this done, but the investment's protected, and there's people back on the job now, pretty skeleton, but I talked to Tweed Garrett, and I know they are very anxious to get 100 people back on there, but they won't do this until this is closed. But it looks good, and I will have the senior lender in front of you. That's part of the deal. I talked to him. So that's the update. That could be, and as I said, that will be open this year. That could be open this fall, as Kevin said to you. So I'm happy to answer questions. You have confidential information. You also have the timeline. The things that we're going to be looking to do, looking at the reassessment, looking at a little bit more of a investment from the senior lender. We're still protected, and the hotel gets moving. Alderman Duane?
Yeah, Your Honor, at this time, can you announce a senior lender?
I cannot. No, I do not have that
Okay,
authority.
because we've went through this before. You know, they're gonna come up within 2 weeks, and then how do we know what their vision is, what their amount is? You gotta remember, we're a third party that receives their money back. Is it, you know, all of a sudden, we're $16 million that's gotta be paid, and now it can be anywhere from 16 to 27, I hear. And, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And I have questions if it's the same senior lender that you have mentioned in closed session for various reasons. I mean, it doesn't do this council any good to keep pushing this back with, keep telling us that it's gonna be done in 2 weeks.
You can call the senior
There's
lender.
no questions. I mean,
The
from what we went on, what we signed on for, is that still in play?
Yes, there'll be no more money from the city.
No, I'm not asking that. The designs, what are
Yes.
they cutting out? I mean,
Now, the appraisal went up. I sent that to you.
okay. And, I don't know how it went up because the initial one was I don't know how they can get better than the initial, except, I think it's just, I'm trying to be nice about this, Mayor. I don't believe it's gonna be any nicer or it's gonna raise the value of this project.
I can't help that you feel that
I think that's just a bunch
way.
of people that are using their expertise to manufacture some of this stuff and it's put it in some kind of contract.
Okay.
I'm not a professional at that, so forgive me, but,
Okay.
you know, all of a sudden, you know, this lender, I believe they're a bridge lender. I mean, is the value the cost of this project gonna go up? The interest, I mean, how much more is this gonna come out to? That we have to wait for, or we might have to put something in at the end? Because we're here, and now, you know, if we don't do this and we don't do that, it's, you know,
I would just say that the senior lender completes the project. It completes and opens the hotel. Finishing the hotel and opening the hotel are two different things. That hotel needs to be opened. It needs to operate with a revenue, and then, you're right, the senior lender could sell his loan. But the senior lender is also the fourth lender, so he has a whole lot of incentive to not only get that hotel where he's protected as a senior lender, WIDA's protected as a second lender, we're protected as a third lender. He wants to protect his position as a fourth lender, and I sent you the numbers it does.
okay, I'll let some other people speak. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Alderman Zima?
Well, it seems to me that you just gave away who the primary lender is proposed to be, because you just said that the fourth lender is the primary lender now. So I don't know how important that was to keep that secret. You've been telling us that, and now you've just blurted that out. Very interesting.
Well, maybe it's, yeah, I don't know that,
You don't know what.
yeah, that I thought you were going to come and blurt that out, but yes, you're right.
You know, you blurted it out, so I guess the world knows here now, so. But anyway, where is the loan at right now?
The loan has been accepted and approved by the owner and the lender. The loan documents are going to be approved by WIDA, it's my understanding, tomorrow. And the loan documents are then going to be forwarded to us, to the city. If they don't meet tomorrow, it's a special board meeting, hard to get those guys together. But in the next couple of weeks, I would think, I know they were shooting for tomorrow, I'd heard that yesterday, but I don't know that. But they do have an agreement with WIDA.
So the prime lender is gonna have an agreement, they're borrowing money from WIDA? I guess I'm not following you. Or is it that WIDA has to sign off?
We'd have to sign off on it, just like we do.
So if I'm understanding correctly, where the loan is that the new senior lender is trying to square it with the other lenders?
The other junior lenders, to my understanding, he's squared it with WIDA and US Bank. And quite honestly, he squared it with me. And we all need board approval.
It wasn't so important in the past. But,
Everything's been approved.
you know, we allowed, I think, the 45 days that I thought was generous at the time was forward, and now you're saying it's minimum of 2 weeks, maybe longer? When are we going to look at the proposal?
Hopefully Friday, if not next week.
Okay, so this week or early next week?
That,
Well, I guess I can wait that long.
I would appreciate it, and I think you're gonna be pleased when you see it.
Then, of course, is there a new total estimate of what it's going to cost? You know,
Yes.
the previous lender was a $12.8 million addition to everything else that everybody else has kicked in on this. Is it a number larger than that now?
It is, but if you would read the email that we sent you, it explains how the furniture and fixtures are now rolled into the first position. It's explained there. And you can ask the owner or the senior lender why the amount has gone up when they're here. But it explains it in
Well, is it push, following up on what Mr. Duane said, and is the total cost of the project increasing, or is it just being talked about in a different way, or?
the total
Would you be a little
cost of
clearer
the
on that?
project is increasing, but not more than the appraised value.
Well, the last actual appraisal we had was what, 33 million?
I sent that to you.
And you talked of that there was some kind of marketing study done that says it's got a higher value, but that isn't exactly an appraisal, is it?
I sent you the numbers that came in with the appraisals, assessments, the operating income value. I mean, I don't know what you want to call it, but I don't know that people would be approving this if they didn't feel there was going to be through net operating income or through the asset having their money protected. And I don't know that an appraisal or company would put their reputation on the line either.
But this lender is going to be the long-term holder of the money, unless they can find somebody else to buy it from them. Is that a fair statement?
I don't know that. I know that we have a loan in there, and we also have HUD money in
Because
there.
First Merit and then Huntington was going to be the holder of the money, and they were going to be repaid back.
Yes,
Is that the same case with this new lender?
yes. They're going to want to be paid back. Now, banks sell loans all the time. I don't know. I don't want to speak for any lender but the city.
Well, I'm just looking toward what the commitment is by.
And I think you could call the senior lender. I advised him that he may be getting some calls, and you have all that information.
Wait, is this what Kevin sent out yesterday?
Well, we spent you before the last council meeting, so you've had this information for probably 3 weeks.
Well, I'm not quite so familiar with it as you are.
Right, you're not. I mean, I work on this every day, and thanks
Yeah.
for saying that.
Now, the ownership that had been declared by Judge Atkinson was dependent upon the new owner to satisfy 7 points that were laid out in the hammered out agreement between Fran's attorneys, Brenda's attorneys, and I guess you and Vanessa. Although you later denied that, but that was a big part of it. But there's a portion in that that talks about the city having to provide a $500,000 loan in two portions. Is the city expected to be a part of that agreement when it
No.
wasn't even provided to us?
No.
So is a new owner then making up that 500,000?
The new owner and Mike Franz are working out their issue. That has nothing to do with our loan to this project.
It seems to me that until that ownership conflict is totally resolved, that it would be hard to get somebody to loan money on the project.
That obviously isn't.
And the new estimates to complete the project, would you repeat that again?
You have that.
Well, why don't you just repeat it?
Right, because I don't have the numbers in front of me. I sent that to you.
So you don't know it so well then?
Where's Kevin, Your Honor?
He's at a conference.
So you don't really know it so well. Gee, I tell you, if I was mayor of Green Bay, I'd sure the heck know what it was. So you really don't know?
If I'm off $1, you'll crucify me, so I don't want to give you a dollar amount.
Point of information, Your Honor, if I may.
Yes.
Diana's right in the back room.
Just bring me within
Diana's here.
100,000.
Do you want to share with them the cost of completion? We know how much the loan is going to be.
You have to put her on the speaker.
We don't have that number. We don't know what the total completion of that project would be. We know what portion our loan is and how much our TIF was.
Well, that we've known for a long time.
2 years.
We give $2.5 million in TIF, and we're backing a HUD loan for $4.7 million. Our exposure has not increased, has it?
Has not.
Okay. Under this, our total exposure, there's only one person ahead of us right now at this point in time.
It's two.
Is my understanding. Would you?
There's the
elucidate
senior
that?
lender and.
Well, the senior lender we don't have yet. There was a senior lender before.
Actually, we do. We need to approve that, but there is a senior lender that's come to terms with the owner that is come to terms with the lender in the second position and is coming to see the city and U.S. Bank.
But right now, the only one ahead of us in the project is the Conservancy, $4 million.
We, CG. Well, the project will not happen without a senior lender, so there's a senior lender in place.
But you're
As of-
saying it's gonna be for more money.
It's going to be for more money,
So that pushes us down.
but the value of the property goes up. I sent that to you. As
Yeah,
well as the
I
hotel
wasn't-
opens this
I
year.
Quite honestly, I wasn't very impressed at the credential of how you figured it was worth even more money.
It wasn't me that figured it out.
No.
It was a professional.
One that'd be recognized by banks and.
You have to ask the senior lender. Okay, what else do you want to know about this?
All mystery, isn't it? Well, the reason I'm talking about it is that, at some point in time, maybe we should consider the foreclosure on the property. And the reason I say that is then, as you said with Mr. Vetter a long time ago, we just need to open it up and see if there's other people out there.
It's not ours. We don't own that property.
Well, they have to get us to sign off on the new senior lander, and whatever my kind of money they're gonna increase it, we know now it's gonna be more than $12.8 million. So the city's exposure is increasing.
So is the value.
Well, that's a matter of opinion.
It's professional.
But it seems to me that Mr. Dwayne was putting his finger on it, that are we gonna get the project? Are we really gonna get the project we bargained for to start with? There's gonna be a change in the development agreement? Is it gonna be more than financial? Or are all the other things still in place of what they say they're gonna do?
You asking me?
I-
Because you know the
I don't know who
answer.
else.
You keep asking me a lot of questions that you know the answer to, so this is getting a little old, but yes, the answer is yes. Development agreement stays intact.
So all the things that they said they were gonna do to start with will be completed.
Yes.
Have we done an appraisal of what it's gonna cost to finish the project?
You have that.
Well, I guess I'd like some assurance in this. I really don't like dealing with people that don't come and talk to us. And it's been
They'll
that
be
way
here,
with
they'll be here.
with the present owner, it's been like that
Have to come and
almost from
get
the
beat up.
beginning.
They'll be here when they need your approval, and they will answer every question, and the senior lender will be here as well.
Well, you like time to study things. You
I will
don't-
get this to you
don't
as
like
soon
to
as
make-
I get permission
You
to.
don't like to make decisions on the spur of the moment.
What
I know
kind-
that's your MO, that's how you like to operate, bring us stuff right at the last minute so that we're not really prepared, or we don't have a chance to prepare ourselves adequately to do the due diligence that any people with a fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers would want to do.
You don't read it anyway.
Well,
My commitment
know-
to you is as soon as I get the permission to send it to you,
Your Honor,
it will go out.
you know you're on the camera here. You know
Okay.
the whole city of Green Bay is watching you. This isn't this little song and dance show you put on every year about the future of Green Bay. It's down to brass tacks, and you don't
It
really
is.
want to talk to us about this.
I'm happy to talk to you about it.
Well,
I work on this every day. I'll answer any question I can, but you have a lot of information in your inbox.
well,
And that hotel can open this year if we support it.
well, I haven't received enough. What I've
Then
received is not
there's-
adequate.
There's plenty of phone numbers and emails on
And
there
I
too.
think it's time that people who pretend to want to do business with us are talking to the common council, albeit in closed session or wherever wise, so that we can talk to them objectively and get all of our answers
Right.
over time, not just one time at the last minute, over time. So, I'll yield the floor
All
to
right, thank
someone
you.
else.
Thank you. Alderman Stoyer?
Thank you, Your Honor. A lot of things were brought up by Alderman Zuma, but I guess, Mayor, I just wanted to know, are you confident that the default-related issues will be resolved before the approval of the new financing? Or is that out of our hands?
That what?
You know, that any of the default-related issues that had come up, you know, before with the previous agreement, will they be resolved before the new financing comes aboard? Or,
Will there be a satisfactory agreement between the old owner and the new owner? Is that your question? Or are you
so
talking?
you're just saying, I mean.
I'm asking you.
Well,
Because
I'm
I'm gonna ask them, I'm gonna call them tomorrow, kind of prep them a little bit, make sure that, but we've talked
Well,
about,
I guess, okay, maybe I'm wording it wrong. I'm just looking at, that these groups are made whole, if you will. The various folks that are out there that haven't been paid will be paid. And I guess you're just saying that we need to trust you on this as far as the new lender that's coming forward.
yeah, I
that
think
they
we
will
should
take
ask,
care of it.
yeah, I think we should ask the new lender and the new owner those questions, because,
That's all. I just-
okay, and I think
if
that's a fair
if
question. I'm
that's
just
the
saying that
case-
anybody can litigate, you know,
Right.
sue people, but I think that's a fair question. We kind of talked a little bit about that, and I will
Well,
tell them that
I will
you
talk
need
to them about-
clarification.
I will
Okay.
talk to them about that.
All right. Alderperson Barb Dorf.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to say thank you to you and to all our staff that's been working toward getting the Hotel Northland completed. I'd like to say that I've received so much information. I've taken advantage of all the opportunities that were offered to me to go and tour the hotel, to sit down and talk with who turned out to be now the owner of the hotel, and to meet with Brigitte. I think that it's been a remarkable journey. No thanks to the Common Council at times, but luckily things turned out. They went to court, it was settled who was the owner. We now potentially in a very short period of time will have a senior lender on board. And we could have a very, very happy ending sometime this fall. And I am so looking forward to the Hotel Northland opening. And again, my thanks to you and your staff for persevering through this journey. Thank you.
I appreciate that, and we look forward to a pretty cool grand opening. Alderman Weary?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I might have a little different tone. I really believe that we should require the new ownership have their buyout terms be completed before we get involved. It'll clean up, remove liabilities. It'll release some liens. I think that needs to be resolved. There's a lot going on there that I would feel comfortable if those buyout terms were completed, because really he doesn't own it until that's completed. So, number two, I still do have concerns about the claims of the initial $900,000 of equity being fabricated, and the creation of a shell company for the hotelier. I've mentioned that over and over at council and to Director Vonk. I'd like that either debunked or verified, because I really want to know who we're dealing with and if they're on the up and up. I need to know that, and the city of Green Bay needs to know that. So those two items, and I will be curious to see when they go to the Historic Preservation Commission if they're satisfied with how they're handling the building. So
Right.
Those are my concerns right now.
Thank you. Alderman Story, did you have something else? Alderman Dave Nenning?
Thank you, Your Honor. I just have one question. The city's TIF assistance is based on an estimated assessed value for the property.
Yes.
Upon completion. With the higher market estimates at this point, would it be correct to assume that there would be a higher assessed value when the project's finished, or is that incorrect?
Diane, one?
I don't think that would be assumed, because, at this point, our assessors had given an initial assessed value, and, at this point, they haven't been able to get back in until the workforce is back on, or they haven't asked to get back in. I don't think there's an assumption just because if they add, make it more expensive doesn't mean the assessed value will go up.
Okay. You good, Dave? Chris, did you have anything else? All right. Tom, Alderman Dwayne, did you have anything else?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. No, good.
Yeah, I got a couple of questions, and if I could speak with Diana, please, our director. You're speaking of assessed value. Who did that assessment, do you know? Was it our own? It wasn't from our own city.
Well, we could be talking to two different numbers now. When you're talking kind of appraisal, then
Yeah,
somebody.
who did the appraisal? I just heard the mayor said the appraisal is gonna be much higher. I mean, I can put another $30 million in a project, doesn't mean the appraisal is gonna go higher.
Exactly, that's
the
why,
assessed value.
that's why he asked and said this word assessed value, and that would have been done by either Mike or Russ in our assessor's office. The appraisal was done by some external, vendor that did the appraisal. And like you said, assessment doesn't equate to, or
Right.
appraisal doesn't equate to assessment.
It's still 160 rooms, you're right,
Now-
it's for Diamond.
I know Dawn was always in on all the meetings that we had when the negotiations were going on. Were you in when this new lender came forward? And, you know, all these documents were put together, the amount of money and all that, weren't you in that meeting?
I have been copied on some of the emails, and I have been in some of the meetings, yes.
I mean, so we don't know the increase amount. You said you don't know. I mean, you should have all that. If they're coming to us in 1 week, you should have all those numbers.
Well, I think it's a moving target at this point. They're still putting the numbers together. They have their own auditing firm, Baker Tilly, that's putting their pro formas together.
Well, that scares me alone right there, that you think that they don't have their numbers set, but yet they're coming next week.
Well, I would have to say that they are working directly with the senior lender with the numbers that, at this point, I don't think don't have those final numbers, but they are certainly I'm sure have shared it with the senior lender for them to be comfortable to sign on.
Okay. I do got something, and Alderperson Dorf mentioned that the judge made a decision, who the owner really was. His determination was to only say, did you make an agreement through Judge Zeidmiller at the time, who was taking place, and after hearing both parties, he determined that, and both sides agreed they made this agreement. And he also had already valued at what Mr. Miranda, which was 7 different agreements that Mr. Miranda was gonna pay and complete to buy out Mr. Franz. Now, the judge also stated when this was done, he determined Mr. Miranda was the sole owner, but you have to meet all seven obligations. And if you don't, you may bring this back and I will make another determination. He made it very clear. So what happens? And I'll ask you, Vanessa, he doesn't come forward. From what I understand, they're trying to renegotiate right now. I don't know for sure. I'm just saying. But all of a sudden, they don't fulfill those obligations. It goes back to court, and the judge overrules it now because of the fact that he failed to do this. And now we got 2 owners again. So, as our attorney, aren't you out there to protect the city, to make sure that we know for sure that we're protected? Because until those obligations are fulfilled, we're sitting with 2 owners, really. It never changed. And the judge made it very clear. You have obligations to make. You made this agreement.
So,
Both parties agreed, and yet we're sitting here determining that there's only 1 owner. I would love to see those obligations just paid like tomorrow, and then we're done.
so my role as a city attorney is, yes, of course, to protect the city's interests. That is the only thing that I do for the city, is protect our interests. However, what we are talking about is 2 private parties and their own private interests. We do not take a role as far as enforcing agreements on each other's behalf. That's something we can't do. However, what I am saying is that the Hotel Northland LLC is the entity that we have contracted with. That is not, there is no risk at this point that it's going to be dissolved or otherwise defunct. And so who is a member or owner of that LLC is irrelevant at this point to the city's interests, as long as that LLC is still in effect.
Yeah, but Vanessa, you did take part
No,
in helping. Yeah, you took
Nope.
part in trying to get $500,000. You
Nope.
worked with both parties, you admitted it.
nope. What I've clarified time and time
The
again
judge read
is
it.
that we agreed to help mediate, but I was never representing either one of them, never. I am not their attorney.
I think, let's ask if that's been resolved. I think that's a fair question.
I think before we go anywhere, we gotta make sure.
I will,
Otherwise, we're dealing with this again.
okay, I will talk to him. Yep.
Thank you.
All right. To be continued, but soon, all right? With that, I know we need to suspend the rules for a couple, 3 late communications.
Move to suspend the rules?
There's a motion by Alderman Tom DeWine, second by Alderman Randy Scannell, suspend the rules for late communications. All in favor of suspension, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nay. So let's start with you, Alderman Joe Moore.
Your Honor, I've got a reconsideration on an item tonight, If you want to take the late communications first, I can take my reconsideration after
No,
that.
I'll do that now.
Okay.
Alderman-
I'd like to move that I can reconsider item 1 on the Personnel Committee. I need a second.
There's a second for Alderman Scannell. Alderman Moore has made a motion to reconsider the report of the Personnel Committee, specifically item 1. I gotta find that. So that is. All right, so we get the page number. 9. Okay, that's page 9 of your packet. So, all in favor of reconsideration, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it. Item 1 is now back on the table with, we're looking for a motion. Well, and then he wanted to reconsider, and I'm gonna do the late communications in just a second. He asked if we could do this first, or he asked if I cared, and I said, yeah, let's just get this resolved. So I will get to late communications, Alderman Zima. Yeah, we,
To clarify, a reconsideration is appropriate at any time. It yields to nothing.
okay. So this item's back on. What are your wishes regarding item 1?
We already got it.
No, we've already done that.
Yeah.
Let him do it.
I want to make a motion here to approve the request to fill the replacement position of the traffic signs and marking operator in Public Works. At committee, we were waiting on some information from Director Grenier. He sent it out a couple days later. We have contracts to fulfill. We need to fill the position.
Okay, so there's a motion by Alderman Moore, seconded by Alderperson Dorf to amend item 1 instead of to hold, to approve. Discussion on that. Okay, all in favor of that amendment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nay. And then, Joe, I just want to take this to adopt as amended. By Alderman Scannell, second by Alderman Tom DeWayne. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nay. Okay, now the floor is now open, also suspended the rules for late communications. Yep, we did. So, Alderman Zima?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm just requesting that the city develop a 3-year plan to aggressively pursue the improvement of all blacktop streets in the city that fall within a residential grade of 3 and 4.
All right, thank you. And then Alderman Andy Nicholson, late communication.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe Personnel Committee, this would be referred to requesting possible action on combining the Green Bay Housing Authority with the Brown County Housing Authority to review the city's options, advantages, disadvantages with this possible consolidation. Thank you.
All right. I know, you're gonna put that into Brown County too, right?
It's gonna have to pass forward.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say you could put that communication to the county as well. Okay, good. All right, with that, gentlemen and lady, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Alderman Scannell, second by Alderman Nicholson. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nays. All right. We're adjourned.
I told you 9, I apologize.
Did he tell you 9?
Yes, you
That's awesome. I'm gonna talk to you next time.